Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Parent Impact Meeting. We appreciate you coming this morning. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. And just a reminder, we are recording this for viewing afterwards. Please mute yourselves and your camera as well. All right, for today's agenda, I will be taking a look at our SBAC data from last year. We will also be discussing Chromebook and locker updates, some first quarter highlights, blended learning expectations and updates, report cards and parent conferences, behavior expectations, upcoming events, and then we will conclude the Parent Impact Meeting and we will move into our continuous improvement plan presentation and survey.
Thank you all for joining us. So my name is Ed Savarese. I'm the elementary assistant principal, and I would like to take the opportunity to kind of share some exciting data that we've received back. As you can see in front of you, we have quite a few little graphs that show how Pinecrest Elementary did in both ELA and math compared to other schools in the surrounding area. What really makes me proud about this is when we take a look at it, we've achieved what many people in this state especially were saying was unachievable. We were able to give not just quality instruction, but high quality instruction throughout the pandemic and still be able to achieve some of the highest data that's seen in the area. So if you take a moment and look there, we could see our data is broken down by the state of Nevada, Clark County, and include some of the surrounding schools as well, such as Shore and Robert and Sandy Ellis. So at 77.7% in ELA, which was an amazing benchmark for us to hit. We were super excited when we saw that. And math, which has taken a hit nationally, and you can see and tell by those bar graphs included as well, we hit a 69.5%, which was unbelievable. And it was definitely a reason for us to celebrate. So we're going to carry over some of those best practices that we used last year in prepping our students for SBAC and for getting our students ready for the grades ahead and just continue pushing through. But we wanted to just take a moment and just share some of that amazing data with you all.
Good morning, everyone. I am so excited to present our middle school data to you. Overall, we performed, strong and, above the averages for our state. And we're really consistent with higher performing districts across the country. Our ELA data came in at a 68.2% in terms of achievement. And we are just so proud as a system. Our teachers work collaboratively with other campuses. They talk about backward assessment and how we can really strengthen deficit areas. And this showed up in our data this year. Math is the same. Our math department works together throughout the year to really talk about where kids are struggling, our pacing, what we can do to, improve scores and show growth. And this 42% is a stronger result than many of the schools in our area. Although it's not as high as we would like to see, this is a trend that we are seeing, both locally in terms of the district, in terms of the state, and then also on a national level, just in terms of math performance. So we are actually really proud of our Pirates, and we think that they did their best on these assessments, and we're looking forward to continued growth as we test this coming spring.
So we are very excited. Sorry about that. We are very excited to announce that we have received our Chromebook delivery, and we have checked out so many Chromebooks already to our secondary students, and we've been able to get the elementary classrooms their iPad or Chromebook carts. If your student is in secondary and still in need of checking out a device, the paperwork is available at our secondary front desk. And once the paperwork's signed, they return it back to the front desk, and then our computer technician will deliver the device to the student. So those are still available. So if your student is in need, please make sure to go see Miss Grace at the front. And also a locker update for our secondary students who have already requested a locker and have paid their fee on Infinite Campus. We are going to be again allowing students to bring their own locks as we're waiting for that delayed shipment of locks to come in. So if they bring the lock and the combination to the secondary front office, they will get a locker assigned to them.
Good morning. We wanted to really highlight some of our staff members on campus with the Be the One nomination. This is our theme this year, and we truly believe that all children deserve to have someone who invests time in them and learns about their lives. So you can find this link in our pirate post, and there is a QR code there available for you at your convenience.
We want to share some of our first quarter highlights, our outstanding performances that have taken place, some activities and athletics. All right, our first cohort of dual enrollment students, they are off and running. They are at CSN, they are taking college classes, and they are doing incredible. I've been so impressed with how well they're doing, and in seeing their CSN grades, I am just blown away at the success they are having and that we have this program to offer to our students. We had our first performance in our new Performing Arts Conservatory. Actually, we've had a couple already now, and the students sounded incredible. So it was really exciting to have that room filled and see it. It's been a long process of planning, and to see it in action and our students being able to enjoy it was fantastic. In addition to the clubs that we already have on campus, we've also added some new clubs this year, which cover a variety of grade levels. We've added chess club, and they're off and going, yoga club, art club. We've started jump rope extravaganza in the mornings, club, National Honor Society. National Honor Society, National Junior Honor Society, an Elementary Student Council, and many, many more. We also have some others that are in the works. We want to share with you some of the ones that are already up and running. And then we have staff members that are planning some additional clubs to offer as well. Athletics has been started off really strong this fall, and they are just having amazing performances. And we have, I mean, on the weekends and the evenings, our campus is just packed with events taking place. And so volleyball, flag football, t-ball, coach pitch, cross country, cheerleading, lacrosse, archery, martial arts, and basketball is is upcoming and getting the tryouts and interest forms underway. We are also starting right now to plan our winter season. So lots to offer in the field of athletics.
So blended learning in elementary, we wanted to just go over a little bit, as this is a key integral component of our instruction for students. And so weekly expectations for blended learning, iReady, we're asking students complete 2 math and 2 ELA lessons, or 1 closed read instead of the 2 ELA lessons, as those take a little bit longer. Students can work ahead. And so when teachers pull the reports to see if students are meeting those goals, if students have worked ahead, that is perfectly fine. I know sometimes you have some extra time and kids are able to work through those lessons at a little bit of a quicker pace. ST Math, 3 to 5% per week as assigned by the teacher. 5% is always our goal at Pinecrest. However, as we have already had some of our graduates from the grade levels that we're working on, in fact, we had 2 kindergartners actually finish this week, which is amazing. As they advance to the next grade level, we're encouraging a 3% if they're working on a grade level above. So refer to your classroom teacher as to the goals that your teacher has set for those students. And AR, individualized quarterly goals, are set by student performance in iReady. So as they take their iReady benchmark assessment, they were assigned a quarterly goal. That goal will carry over to quarter 2. And as soon as they take the assessment again in December, that goal will be adjusted. One of the biggest changes that we've seen this past week is we are trying to get back to our pre-COVID policies and procedures, and AR tests we are going to have, they must be taken at school. We want to see students performing at their authentic levels. And so students will have plenty of time in class before school from 8 to 8:30 during morning car loop, during sloan hour, intervention times, and just during classroom when they are completed with assignments. So one of the biggest things is all K-5 classrooms do have access to technology. They have iPads, Chromebooks in their classrooms. So there is plenty of time. Encourage your student to take advantage of those opportunities that they have at school. If it means getting maybe a little bit earlier in the morning during car loop, that's a perfect time. And also in a great tip is to send the kids with their agendas, with the books that they need to take tests on, so that they get right into the classroom and take those AR tests. So no longer will they be taken at home. Those AR tests are at school, and that's one of the biggest changes. Some of the other programs are Reflex and Mayan that students have access to. Reflex is a math fluency practice. We do not set school-wide goals for those. However, your teacher may encourage participation with Reflex. And Mayan, your student may talk to you about, is a digital library that does have AR books available that can be read. So if you have any blended learning questions, you can reach out to your classroom teacher, Mr. Savarese or myself. And we really see this as a really important part of student learning and progress. And if you had iReady as one of those that we really see as getting our students to where they need to be.
All right, blended learning in middle school. So in middle school, our big push towards blended learning is in iReady. It is our sole blended learning platform that is not a part of our core curriculum in terms of science, social studies, etc. So for iReady, our goal is 2 math and 2 ELA lessons per week. It is not graded on a weekly basis, so it's graded in 3-week increments, which means that your student can either work ahead, or if they have missed their 2 lessons in that subject area that week, they can certainly work to make those up. We don't want to punish anyone for having a busy weekend, right? So we are grading in every 3-week increments. And that blended learning is 7% of our students' overall grade in math and ELA. And there's a reason for that. We find that secondary students are very motivated by assignments that have a grade attached to them. So we thought it was important to really emphasize iReady as a part of our curriculum in the grade book. So one thing that we have worked on this year is really strengthening our advisory period to be a place for students to really make data-based goals, conference with teachers, and have some accountability for their data. So students meet with their advisory teacher every Wednesday. This is on 5-day weeks. When we have a shortened week, we do not always have a common day with an advisory period. Teachers are conferencing with students on their diagnostic performance, which is how they score on that big test at the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and the end of the year. They're talking to them about their typical growth goals, their stretch growth goals, and they're reviewing their progress with them. So all of our teachers, regardless of what content area they teach, are familiar with iReady and are trained in how to have these data chats with students. iReady is truly our most powerful intervention tool. It sets our students up on an individualized path. It's a very intuitive program. So it helps to identify deficits and where kids need extra help. And that's what that individual path is working towards. So with iReady, if students are not completing the 2 lessons a week in math and 2 lessons in ELA, it's going to kind of work against them in a couple of ways. It decreases their grade because they're not earning that 7%. And it's also not setting them up for good growth in terms of their deficit areas. So this iReady practice at home every week is super crucial to student success I want you to remember, parents, you do not have to help with iReady. Actually, it's super important that you don't. If we are helping kids with their individual path and their lessons, then we're kind of communicating to the program. They've got it, they've mastered the content, and it's pushing them forward into more rigorous lessons. So make sure that kids are working independently, they're staying focused, they're trying their best, and iReady will take care of the rest.
So for high school and for our 8th graders taking Algebra 1, we utilize CERT. CERT is the College Equipped Readiness Tool, and this is a program that helps prepare students for the ACT. Students are expected to complete 2 quizzes per subject area per quarter, but we want to make sure that students are preparing for these quizzes. That's where it's really important for them to use the exam room and study hall. The exam room reviews questions that they missed on the CERT fall assessment. So it's based off of how did they do on the CERT fall assessment and what questions can they review and strategies can they review as well. Study hall are universal lessons that are preparing them for ACT and also test taking strategies. We have sent home the fall assessment reports from CERT. So your student should have sent home a packet with a cover letter that kind of explains the benchmark scoring and how that works and correlates to ACT. If for some reason you didn't get a copy of it, maybe it didn't make its way home to you, please reach out to me and I'll make sure I get a copy to you. My email's there, stephanie.russell@pinecrestnv.org. Students have reviewed this in each of their classes and set goals, and now they're going to be meeting with our college and career counselor to review how their projected ACT scores are going to help them get into colleges and also qualify for scholarships. We're also really excited. We've added a new tool to CERT, which is the graduation planner, where students can build a profile and see their best fit and least fit college matches based on what they're interested in and what areas they need to work on in order to make it to the colleges that they're trying to get into. They will be meeting with our college and career counselor to go over that as well to learn how to access it. And it's a great tool for parents and students to discuss together. There's even a kind of faux FAFSA where you can practice the FAFSA together, look at the information, and it'll make predictions on what type of coverage and scholarships, aid you will receive based on your income and your students' activities in school. So if you have any questions about CERT though, please feel free to reach out to me and I'd be happy to assist you.
All right, report cards and conferences. So report cards will not be printed this year. They are being posted to the parent portal in Infinite Campus on Friday, October 15th. So be on the lookout for those. Parent-teacher conferences are also being held on October 15th. So it's kind of a good time to review progress and work with teachers to make plans for strengthening performance in the future. Students in grades 3 through 11 are encouraged to participate in their conferences. This is very important. As students are getting older and they're building agency and the ability to advocate for themselves, use a little bit of metacognition and think about how they are learning in each class, they are a critical component of the conference process. So when we talk about where a student is struggling, when we talk about, behavior, this is, positive or negative, the expert in that behavior, the expert in that learning process is your student. They know themselves, right? So it's really important that as we're having these conversations, we are able to defer to the person who knows best about the situation. So them being there is important. And I know that there's been a little bit of a hiccup in terms of the sign up geniuses. We really thank you for your patience. You should have gotten a sign up genius from each of your child's teacher, and they should be signed in Infinite Campus Messenger. There should be a signature line in the email. If not, please feel free to reach out to any of the APs, or if you are able, the teacher directly, and we will make sure that we get you scheduled.
All right, behavior expectations. And as we know, we had sent some communication out. There have been some TikTok trends that have been taking place that have had an impact on our students and on our campus. And so when we sent out that communication first of all, I really appreciate our parent support in that. We had so many parents that reached out, had conversations with their child, reached out to us when they had information. We had a lot of students that started coming forward and talking to us about how they could help, and providing us with information of things that were occurring. So we're very thankful for that. We do have continued concerns currently that still is taking place, and it kind of is an evolving thing that there's new challenges all the time of red dye and different things that they are challenging students to do. So as we see those and as we get that, we're just really talking to the students. We do have some things that we've put in place as far as we do have 2 security positions that are full-time on our campus. So they are actively monitoring campus, walking around. They have cameras as well, and a camera room that they're able to kind of really see what's going on and try to provide that extra layer of support for our students and make sure that everyone is safe and attending to positive behavior. We also increased some structures as far as moving around campus, the lunchroom, making sure that we have students in place that are monitored by adults, and that we know where our students are at all times. In general, though, the consequences, we have had some behaviors that have resulted in consequences and in parent conferences. Really, though, and I will tell you to look in communicating, I have a lot of conversations with administrators and other schools in the area and academic schools and actually in schools across the country. So this isn't something that's unique to our campus. It is taking place across the country. But I will say one thing that I do have some pride in our students for is we haven't seen it to the degree that I'm hearing from a lot of other administrators and principals. So there has been some really, high degree of damage that has taken place in a lot of other campuses. Ours have really, they've been pretty minor. And as we've had those conversations with the students, we're following restorative justice. So we really have conferences with them. They are writing letters, and a lot of them have come forward with letters of apology, offering to help out to clean up. And really, I'm telling them to help us be the advocate. So you understand now why that behavior was wrong. Help communicate to your friends and help us make a difference and find positive ways. So as far as consequences in the future, we do them as they're applicable. I'm really not, a proponent of having to contact the police and have that, our students with police records and those things. So really the goal is that they're young, they're learning. These things are going to come their way. It's our job to help them through it. So that is the first line of defense. Obviously, if it's more major things that take place or, safety issues, damage and destruction, then that is a possibility. And I've told the students that, we don't want to have to take it to that avenue, but if it warrants it, then we do. But really the focus is positive behavior incentives, our restorative justice program. We implemented a lot of positive behavior incentives on our campus. I have a lot of things in my office myself. I got an ice cream machine and a sticker machine and a claw machine. And as we see students doing good things, I bring them down, and you would be amazed how much the kids love it. And we say, if they're doing good in the lunchroom, walking in the halls, we see them helping someone out, bringing them down and giving them a prize. And we have our positive pirate nominations where staff members nominate other students. The golden spatula in the lunchroom for elementary, where the classes that are doing well receive that and get extra recess. So really the focus is trying to educate our students, trying to help them, be advocates with us, and trying to focus on the positive behavior. And honestly, I do feel it is working. We still see some minor concerns and behaviors, but our kids are good kids, and they're learning from it, and we're growing together. Communication. We really value your feedback, and I'm telling you everything that we get from our families, we discuss as a team. We try to put things in place to make sure that we're meeting your needs. I mean, we're a team in this together. So as in the most recent days, as we've been kind of looking over some of our feedback and some areas of improvement, one thing that we've seen pretty sometimes that has come up is increasing communication, means of communication. How can we make sure that we're getting things out effectively to families, providing different avenues of communication, streamlining our communication. One thing we just recently came up with is doing a PD for parents. We do professional development for our teachers, and what can we also offer to our parents to have an avenue for, and really in the communication, some of the feedback we get too is more of the open dialogue. So there's a lot of things that we send out and that get sent out, and COVID kind of hindered our open discussions that we really have and how we really have that face-to-face communication with our families. So that's really a focus right now to increase our communication. And we're going to be regularly offering professional development for parents. And that's going to be a short kind of mini meeting. They will start on Zoom right now. We may move some of them in person, but where it's a topic for the week. We'll have a topic and we'll send it out to families. This is what we're going to be discussing this week, kind of a hot topic that's coming up at the time. We'll allow parents to suggest items for discussion, and then we'll have kind of an open dialogue at the end to discuss anything, so any questions you have, anything that are pertinent at the time. So, and like I said, it's optional, and you can jump onto the ones. We'll post that agenda ahead of time or that topic of discussion. And it's a time for us to just be able to touch base and have an open discussion. We were also wanting to increase our impact meetings to being in person. This one with the SIP plan and data presentation that we're going to be following it, we maintain this one as Zoom, but our goal for our next impact meeting is to move it back to in person. We will still have the Zoom option. Those that are unable to attend, because it does take place during the school day, can still log in on Zoom. We'll still provide that recording, but moving it to in person so that our families can be on campus more, and that we can again have that connection with our families. We are also going to add staff impact meetings. I think another way that we can increase our communication is by making sure our staff is informed. There's a lot of things that we send out, and we want to make sure that the communication our staff is, when you're asking your child's teacher questions or other staff on campus, we want to make sure they know the answers too. So increasing the frequency of our staff impact meetings and how much we're touching base with our staff so that they're in the know. Also streamlining our pirate posts. I've had some feedback from families that it's a large campus like this. There are a lot of things going on. It's very busy, very exciting, but it's a lot of information to navigate. So we're going to work with Lindsay Osborne. She has a lot of great ideas, and just really kind of focus on how can we streamline it? How can we make sure that it's easier to navigate for families? So we're going to be kind of doing that process in the upcoming post as well. And we did also receive some communication about emails. A lot of times when you receive emails, it's unclear when you have multiple children who that was pertaining to. So we'll try to work on that on our end when we send, especially in Infinite Campus messages, to make sure you're aware of who that's, what grade level it is to, if it's elementary or secondary, to help you know a little bit more details about the communication going out. Fun run. We have our fun run for elementary students upcoming. That's always a super fun event for our students. They really enjoy it, and it's a great fundraiser for our campus that we're able to get a lot of great things, to add to our campus as well. So there were questions about what is the percentage breakdown that the school receives as opposed to the percentage that Fun Run takes. For the Fun Run company that we use, we do not use Apex on our campus. We do use, it's called Fun Run. They donate 70% goes directly to the school. Any corporate sponsorships that we receive, 100% of those go to the school. And they have kind of a tiered approach, whereas each year we start taking on more of it. They allow us to continue to take on more and more, up to 90 or 95%, I think it goes, where we can start. And I have our staff on this fun run this year. I'm doing some of sitting in with them, managing the donations, the prizes, seeing how the fun run does it, so that each year we can continue to take on more and more of those components, and more of the money goes back to the school. And we aren't relying as much on the fun run for their services, more of just the organizing of the event, which they do a really fun, well-organized event. I'd asked for updates on the garden from year one. So that is still in process. So our fun run donations, our fun run proceeds went towards the garden that we are working on obtaining that plot of land next to our campus. It's right there on Volunteer. It's a triangular plot of land. Year one, we went through a very lengthy process of getting everything in place. We did all the design, the architecture plans for those. I've met with the city a lot, met with garden experts, because I'm definitely not one. I've met with a lot of experts on how it should be laid out, what the infrastructure should be, and submitted a very large binder and documents to the Bureau of Land Management. Currently, and COVID did create a hinder on this, because we started out at 498 or something in the queue to be looked at by them and approved. It has moved very slowly, unfortunately. So it is still in process. And really at this point, there's nothing we can do on our end except to wait till our number, it has moved up, since then. But, like I said, we're just kind of in the process of waiting till they review our file and are able to give us the access to it. The money is still there on hold in that account, ready to go. And like I said, everything's planned for it. And it was a great fundraiser for that. And I can't wait till it happens. It will happen one day is my hope, but it's definitely still in process. And I want families to know that those donations are still in process towards it. So for this year's fun run, and kind of based up on also what we allocated our money to year one, I kind of wanted to look at it in the terms of a few possibilities, because there are a lot of logistics to some of the things we do on our campus. Sometimes they're out of our control, so sometimes things we don't anticipate. So the possibilities that we wanted to look at contributing to for this year's fun run, one is playground equipment for our students. Our playground definitely could use some additions to it. Definitely, we'd love to add more to that. More structures for our kids to play on, more items, more just making it a more interactive playground experience for our students. So that is one of our options. Car loop modifications. There are some things that I would love to do to our car loop to help it run more efficiently. One is creating another entrance and exit at the main lot, so that way we can create 2 lanes of traffic going out left and right at the exit of the car loop, and that will help it flow out more efficiently if we have another entrance and exit to the main lot. And also increasing that lane that goes out instead of how it kind of fishtails into one lane, if we can make that road right there of the car loop wider so that they can flow out in 2 lanes. Putting a sidewalk, and I've already gotten quotes on a lot of these things as well. Putting a sidewalk around the secondary parking lot so that if we wanted to release more secondary students around that lot, we would have a sidewalk for them to be able to travel on, because right now we can't send them through the rocks. So we would be able to dismiss, or in the morning for arrival, allow more students to unload at a time, and that would increase the efficiency there. So those things do require a lot of specifics. I've already been putting in for the traffic study, because adding an entrance and exit requires a traffic study. I've gotten bids on some of those items. So that's where I don't know how they will land. So that's why this is one of the items that I would like to contribute to. But I don't know yet, what the possibilities are and which of those items we would be able to get approval for. The other item is shade structures. We definitely need shade on our campus. It has a lot of logistical items as well. We're trying to get shade structures out by our car loop zones. There's the trickiness of distance from the building and some of those sorts of things that we have to make sure that it's approved there. Also in the playground area, part of it is labeled as a fire lane, a fire zone, fire lane. So we couldn't, where I thought I was going to put shade structures there, we can't. Again, there I'm already getting bids on shade structures. I have a company that we're working with, trying to find out what the possibilities are, what the city would permit us to have. So those are the items that the big ticket items that this year's fun run would be contributing for. And if you have any questions about those, like I said, they're great things for our campus, and we will make as many of them happen, and are already investigating those and putting them in the works. But that's what this year's fun run will be contributing towards.
So we have a ton of exciting events coming up. One of the nearest and dearest to my heart is we have our first ever homecoming here for our high school. We will have our homecoming spirit week next week, the 11th through the 14th. Then our fall festival, which is open to all families, our homecoming game, which is open to all families, and our parade on the 15th. We will have our first ever homecoming dance on our campus on October 16th. That's Saturday. Then the next week after, we will have our middle school spirit week. They get their own special week. And then they will have their middle school dance on the 22nd, which is a Friday.
All right, for elementary, we have Talk Like a Pirate Day on October 19th. We encourage students to dress up like a pirate and really get engaged with our pirate culture here at Sloan Canyon. On October 23rd, we have the Girl Powered Conference, where we are going to have 2 STEM women in leadership come speak to our girls, grades all the way up till age 16. And then you can go ahead and get registered for that as well still. And then we have our upcoming Elementary Spirit Week from October 25th to the 28th, leading up to our fun run and Halloween parade on the 28th. And then we have no school on the 29th.
So as we said, homecoming week, Spirit Week is next week, the 11th through the 15th. Monday is Marvel Monday. Wear any Marvel apparel. Tuesday is Inside Out Day. They're going to wear colors that match their emotions. Wednesday is Sleeping Beauty Day, so make sure to wear your favorite pair of PJs. And then Thursday is a blackout date for our assembly, our first assembly of the year. Just a reminder that we still need to follow free dress code, but students are encouraged to participate in our spirit days and really have fun with it. And again, reminding students to purchase their homecoming tickets. The prices do go up starting next week, and they can be purchased at lunches and the night of the homecoming game or at the door of the dance, but it will be a little pricier then. So we look forward to seeing you all there.
All right, now for middle school. Middle school does not get left out. They have their own Spirit Week directly after homecoming week. This is super important for us to kind of, work as independent schools so that kids feel like when they get to high school, it's something different. And that when they're coming up from elementary to middle school, they're being celebrated in a different way as well. So we have our own unique Spirit Week taking place from the 18th through the 22nd. They have a Disney Plus Day, Flannel Day, Color War Day, Disney Vacation Day. That's my personal favorite. I happen to have a lot of Spirit jerseys that I'm super interested in breaking out. Maybe I'll layer, I don't know. And then a Jersey Day on the 22nd. The Sloan Plus Middle School Dance is also on October 22nd. It starts at 6 o'clock. It ends at 8. It's going to be in the multi-purpose room. The tickets, just like for homecoming, they are cheaper in advance. So if you buy them pre-sale, they're $7, $10 at the door. The attire is dressy casual. So nothing super semi-formal. It's just, a nice attire. We do follow dress code rules. So no, spaghetti straps or anything like that. School appropriate dress. And guys, it's going to be a good time. I don't know how many of you have had the privilege of attending a middle school dance, but there's nothing like it. The kids have a great time. So I'm really excited to host this event on October 22nd.
All right. And then finally, Elementary Spirit Week follows up on the 25th through 29th. Again, we wanted to give an opportunity to each part of our campus to get to enjoy and celebrate their own unique Spirit Week. So elementary on Monday, we'll get to have a Marvel Monday, dress up as their favorite Marvel character. On Tuesday will be an Inside Out and dress in your favorite color of emotion from the movie Inside Out. Following up on Wednesday, one of my personal favorites, the Sleeping Beauty Day, which has also been known as Pajama Day. And then our Halloween costume on Thursday. Thursday will also then be the opportunity to go through and do our Halloween parade and our fun run to give our students the opportunity to get to walk around and get to show off their costumes to all of their friends and have a little bit of a party out on the field and listen to some Halloween music. So we look forward to seeing all of the students there. This will happen during the instructional day. So if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us and I'll be happy to answer.
Like we said, we do have Fall Festival on Friday, October 15th. The Fall Festival portion starts at 6 p.m. And don't you worry, there will be a trunk or treat. Candy donations are still being accepted at both front offices. There's a box out there and PTO would love to have you donate. There's going to be music, carnivals, games, raffle baskets. There's some really great prizes in those raffle baskets. A haunted hallway hosted by our cheer teams. And there'll be food and beverages available. And just to clarify that schedule, because that is a very busy, fun day going on at Sloan Canyon, from 5 to 5:30, we will have our first ever homecoming parade. And these floats are getting ready. We are going to have our homecoming royalty in their convertibles. There's going to be a lot of fun in that parade, followed by our first homecoming game. It is a flag football tournament going on right now, and the two top teams will compete from 5:30 to 6:15. And the Fall Festival will open at 6 and last till 9. And we cannot wait to see you all there. We are so excited to party with you all in person.
All right, moving on to our frequently asked questions that were submitted prior to the impact meeting. Can students use cell phones after school while waiting for silent dismissal. And that is, yes, students may use their cell phones while they're waiting. Sometimes they'll send, a message to, if you need to send a message to your child of how they're getting home or what they have after school, they are able to use their phone while they're waiting for silent dismissal. Is it possible not to have so many tests scheduled for Mondays? And if they are, please put them in Google Classroom so the students' parents are all aware and remember to study. And see, did you want to take that one, Nicole? Nicole had wanted to.
All right, so I think I might, if it's okay, I might kind of lump the next three bullets together. So as I'm talking, I'm just going to review the questions first, and then I'll go ahead and give you my spiel that I've prepared here. So the first question is about tests being scheduled on Monday and just the sheer amount of tests that are being scheduled on that day of the week. The second is with regard to COVID quarantines to make them more seamless, providing the student a packet or list of assignments. And then the third is with regard to Google Classroom. Really, the fourth is too. We can lump the fourth one in there also. Google Classroom, making sure every teacher is placing all of assignments and instructions so that parents can more easily assist. So one thing that I'm hoping is helping to address a lot of these concerns is that we have been working over the last couple of weeks to really streamline and calibrate our Google Classrooms across the secondary departments. So all of our teachers got together and worked to make sure that their Google Classrooms were set up in a similar fashion. So the process is still ongoing. We're working to perfect each of those Google Classrooms. This is going to help make COVID quarantine more seamless in that each Google Classroom should have a Zoom link at the top so that kids know exactly where to go. Our nurse is very good about reaching out to counselors and teachers and making everybody aware that they will be hosting Zoom students that day. So as students are logging into Zoom and accessing their Google Classroom, they should be able to have a fairly, well-rounded idea of what's happening in class because it should all be available to them. In secondary in particular, it's not possible to give out a packet of assignments because much of our curriculum is digital. So we're really relying on students to use their Chromebooks. If you don't have a Chromebook, make sure that you are reaching out so that we can get that checked out to you. Every student should have a device at this time. So it's important that we are utilizing all of our resources in terms of Google Classroom and that digital curriculum. For scheduling purposes, again, the Google Classroom being set up to front load your calendar should be helpful. It is a little bit hard to avoid scheduling tests on Mondays due to our block schedule. If we say we make a blanket statement, please don't schedule most of your tests on Monday, then what will happen is the majority of the tests will end up being scheduled on Thursday. So we do encourage teachers to communicate with each other regarding when they are assigning tests or planning for tests. The kind of complicating factor there is we do not have one 6th grade team or one 7th grade team. We have multiple teachers in multiple grade levels. So for example, we have 2 7th grade math teachers, 2 7th grade ELA teachers, 2 8th grade geography teachers. So when we have kids who have a variety of teachers on their schedule, some of them may have been able to avoid each other's tests, but then that could have created an issue with another teacher's test. So just know that we do encourage our staff, and they do a great job of communicating with each other when these tests are coming up. It's just sometimes unavoidable to schedule on the same day, just due to the block schedule in particular makes that a little more challenging because they see the kids less frequently. So I'm just going to review these to make sure that I've kind of touched on each of them. Possible to not schedule so many tests on Monday. I think we've discussed that. Teachers should be putting that in Google Classroom. If not, just, if you could just send them a quick email. It's okay to reach out to the teacher directly and ask them questions about their Google Classroom. I think that they would actually appreciate that. And sometimes when we get that feedback from parents, it does help to improve our practice. The COVID break and quarantine, again, like we discussed the Google Classroom, I think that as those procedures are strengthened with time, it will be less likely or less necessary to do a list of assignments. This is, of course, or packet of assignments. Of course, in elementary, this is different, right? Elementary, there are a lot of packets going home just because the curriculum is not so digital. And then with Google Classroom, I know we addressed that. Bell ringer assignments, yeah, they can also be listed in Google Classroom. That's not a big deal. They're often, it's sometimes more of a management strategy, and they're quick. So if you have questions about a particular bell ringer assignment, you can reach out to that teacher directly, or you can always email your assistant principal for a little bit more information on why those bell ringers are not being, front loaded in their entirety to Google Classroom.
All right, iReady lessons, are they able to be done in advance? So that was answered earlier. Yes, they may. Study skills, this class is very noisy and not utilized as a quiet study hall. Is there another location that a student can go to for a quiet place to study? We do not have another location, but we have been working a lot with our teachers on the study skills or the advisory periods of the focus of those. So yes, we will. Thank you for letting us know that if that's the feedback that you're getting from your student, that we do want to make sure that that is the time that they're able to study. So we will definitely be communicating that to teachers to ensure that it is quality study time. Thank you. Garden, we did touch on that already. Communication, is there a reason why teachers you need to use apps and not just Google Classroom and their email? You touched on that some, but as far as we have in our most recent professional development day, we did discuss that a lot with teachers about, like we said, about making the Google Classroom very streamlined, also not using a variety of additional apps. The primary grades do use Class Dojo. It helps with the positive behavior. They use it for a lot of reasons in class that help support their classroom management. We have asked athletics to use the Band app strictly so that there's just that platform for athletics and activities. We've tried to make sure that they're not using additional ones, but for some of those, they have additional purposes beyond just email, that you can schedule the events. There's a lot of things that they can post on there and ways to communicate that really work well for those programs. So whether it's for that grade level or for that activity, but we're trying, and we're still communicating with teachers, like we need to keep it as streamlined. We know as a parent, there's so many different spots to check and look and make sure you're getting everything. So we appreciate that feedback, and we'll do everything we can to try to keep it as minimized. But there are a lot of variety of different things going on. So we want to make sure that we're utilizing what works for the program and keeping that consistent within the program so that it tries to make it as easy for you. Giving Tuesday.
Yes, so Giving Tuesday, we have actually had an activities meeting recently where we had all of our activities advisors, some of our athletic coaches, and our PTO. We met together and we discussed, we really want to focus on giving back to our community and community service this November. So we are actually going to be working all together as a group of all the after school activities to really focus on a way to make a really big community giving, and we will be sending out communication on that really soon, and we are really looking forward to that. So stay tuned for that, because yes, we do want to work together to make sure that our students are giving back and providing community service, because there's so much they can learn from that. And if you are interested in helping out, I know PTO is always looking for assistance, or you can reach out to myself if you have any suggestions. Again, Stephanie Russell. You can find me on the website, so feel free to reach out if you have any connections in terms of community service that you'd like to share with us.
Ms. Satori, you're muted.
My apologies. All right, better. Can you hear me now? Okay. Morning car loop suggestion. Well, could you hear me on the other ones, or do I? No, nobody's was unmuted. My apologies. All right. Morning, Carlo's suggestion was about moving the secondary drop-off zone further back in front of the secondary and around that corner so that there's more room to flow out. Definitely something I took into consideration. I don't know if it would overall help because the biggest problem is getting out onto Volunteer and the surrounding streets. It backs up when they can't get onto Volunteer, Chaparral backs up, and we can't get the cars to exit any quicker. So that is where some of the things I'm looking at as far as making it a 2-lane out could possibly help, and some of those other things. So it's definitely something that we're always looking at and evaluating. Elementary workload expectations, and we did touch on this some about just the amount of homework, but this is we've also in our most recent professional development day had that conversation with teachers about being mindful of the homework and the workload, and if there are additional projects to try to reduce some of the other workload. And also I do think you'll see a difference in blended learning as well, being able, since it's taking place more in the classroom with our Chromebooks being, our carts being in the classrooms and the grade levels, they'll have opportunities to do that in class. So that way they're not doing that at home in addition to the homework they have at night. And Mr. Savarese wanted to touch on that a little bit.
And if I could just may add to that, 3rd grade through 5th grade, I believe most of elementary primarily assigns unfinished classwork as the homework to bring home for that day. So students have the opportunity to work in class during our blended learning time, our intervention time, and during our Sloan hour. So some of the work that we see being brought home up to recently has also been some of their blended learning. That should be the primary focus of when they are at home. However, some of that classwork, if it's not finished, it is then the student's responsibility to kind of bring back and complete at home. Again, our job is to start prepping them in 3rd through 5th for SBAC and for the following grade level. So the expectations continue to climb. This way, when our students are graduating from 5th grade and moving up to the 6th grade, they step in there confident in understanding how to manage their own workloads. They're confident in understanding how to manage and budget their time. And they understand how they have to schedule themselves to not fall behind on anything as well. This is why we encourage students to try to work ahead on some of their iReady. This way, if they have a week where maybe things are a little tougher and they have to, and they can't quite get onto iReady for that week, they've worked ahead. They've front loaded it a little bit. Again, that just comes down to management of time and understanding what their limitations might be and what their strengths might be. Blended learning and Sloan hour in class allows the students an opportunity to say, okay, if I know I don't have the time to do it in class for blended learning, I'll do that at home, but I'll focus more on my individual classwork here in class, or vice versa. If I know I don't have a computer at home or I don't have the opportunity to sit on my blended learning programs at home, I'll focus more on that in my Sloan hour and then bring some of my work, my written work home. So if you have additional questions for this, please feel free to reach out to your teacher. Please feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to help with any of those questions. But again, our goal is to try to get them ready for the rigor that naturally follows with each next grade level.
All right, we thank you so much for attending our parent impact meeting. There is a list of our contact information. Please reach out to us with any questions. We really focus on answering those questions and being attentive to our email. You can call, email anytime, and we're here for you. We appreciate your feedback. And the remainder of our meeting will be focused on our continuing improvement plan, a continuous improvement plan, which was previously by the state called the school performance plan. What it is now is the SIP plan is we look at our data each year. We make goals for the upcoming school year. So we're making our goals for this school year. And then as we move forward, we evaluate those goals, see how we did, but it allows us to have really a targeted focus for some of the things that we do on our campus. This year's plan also allows us to communicate more with the stakeholders. It's outlined more to give you some insight into how that plan is developed, what it looks like, why those decisions were made. So we do invite you to stay with us for the continuing improvement plan portion. We will take a short we'll take about a 5-minute break. I want to let you have a moment and then come back. I also ask you, if you are staying for it, to get a pen and piece of paper. There's going to be quite a bit of data, and there is a required survey at the end. So I want to make sure that as we're showing you that data, that you can take some notes for your observations and things that you want to put into the survey. So we'll see you back in about 5 minutes. Thank you so much.